General Marcus Webb had seen everything in his 35 years of military service. Wars in 3 continents, medals that filled 2 display cases, and respect that preceded him into every room. But nothing had prepared him for the moment when a humble janitor would make his blood run cold with 2 simple words. It was a Tuesday morning at Peterson Air Force Base. The general was rushing through the East Wing corridor, late for a classified briefing, when he nearly collided with the old custodian pushing a mop bucket. The man was perhaps 70, with weathered brown skin, gray hair cropped military short, and eyes that seemed to hold entire lifetimes. His name tag read simply, James. "My apologies, sir," the janitor said, stepping aside with surprising precision, his posture unconsciously snapping to attention. Something about the man's bearing caught the general's attention. He'd seen that stance before in men who'd served. "You prior service?" Webb asked. "Yes, sir." "Long time ago?" the general's curiosity sparked. He made it a point to honor those who'd served before him. "What branch?" "Air Force, sir. When did you serve?" 72 to 96, sir." Webb did the mental math. That span covered Vietnam, the Cold War, Desert Storm, 24 years of service. "That's quite a career. What was your specialty?" The old man's eyes flickered with something unreadable. "Fighter pilot, sir." The general's eyebrows rose. "A fighter pilot mopping floors?" The career trajectory seemed impossibly tragic. But he pressed on, partly from curiosity, partly from respect. "What aircraft?" "F-4 Phantom, then F-16 Falcon." Webb felt a chill beginning to form at the base of his spine. Those were combat aircraft, serious machines. "Did you see action?" "Vietnam, sir." 3 tours. Now the general's full attention was locked on this man. 3 tours in Vietnam meant serious commitment, serious danger. Fighter pilots with that experience usually retired as colonels at minimum. Yet here stood this man in janitor's coveralls. "Did you have a call sign?" The old man hesitated, his jaw tightening. For a moment Webb thought he wouldn't answer. Then quietly, almost reluctantly, he said, "Viper 1, sir." The general's blood turned to ice. His briefcase slipped from his fingers, hitting the floor with a loud crack. Viper 1. Every fighter pilot who'd studied aerial combat history knew that name. It was legend, myth, the ghost story veterans told in hushed tones. Viper 1 was the call sign of the most decorated fighter pilot in Vietnam, a man who'd achieved 12 confirmed kills, saved countless lives, and vanished from military records after the war. The man who'd sacrificed his career to save his squadron. "You're dead," Webb whispered. "The records say you died in 1975. "James, no," Viper 1 smiled sadly. "Easier that way, sir." The general's mind raced through the classified files he'd read years ago during a Pentagon assignment. The story came flooding back. In 1975, during the fall of Saigon, then Major James Wheaton had disobeyed direct orders to abandon a reconnaissance team trapped behind enemy lines. He'd flown an unauthorized mission, destroying 3 enemy anti-aircraft installations and providing cover for a rescue helicopter. He'd saved 15 men that day. But his superiors, embarrassed by his insubordination and facing political pressure to end American involvement, had given him an ultimatum. Accept a dishonorable discharge quietly or face court-martial publicly, which would have ended the careers of everyone in his chain of command. "You took the discharge," Webb said, the pieces falling into place. "You let them erase you to protect your commanders. They had families, sir, careers. I was just one pilot." The old man's voice carried no bitterness, only acceptance. "I did what needed doing. No regrets, but you lost everything. Your rank, your pension, your legacy. I kept my honor, sir. That's not nothing." Viper 1 picked up his mop. "And I've had a good life. Honest work, peace." General Webb stood frozen, watching this legend in janitor's clothes, and felt something break open inside his chest. Here was a man who'd sacrificed everything, not for glory or recognition, but for principle. Who'd chosen obscurity over legacy, poverty over compromise. "No," Webb said firmly. "This isn't right. Give me 48 hours. 72 hours later, the base auditorium was packed with officers and airmen. At the podium stood General Webb, and beside him, in a perfectly pressed Air Force dress uniform with silver oak leaves restored to his shoulders, stood Lieutenant Colonel James Wheaton, retired. The Air Force had reopened his case, expunged the discharge, and restored his rank and full pension with back pay. More importantly, they'd restored his name. As Webb pinned the Distinguished Flying Cross onto Wheaton's chest, one of many medals being restored, he leaned close and whispered, "Thank you for your service, Viper One, all of it." The old pilot's eyes glistened. "Thank you for remembering, sir, that honor matters more than convenience." In that moment, surrounded by applause, two warriors understood what so many forget, that true heroism often wears humble clothes, and the greatest sacrifices are made by those who never seek recognition. Sometimes legends don't die. Sometimes they just wait, mopping floors, for someone to remember that justice delayed is not justice denied.